it went on forever.
It did. And you can see why it won score with that overture.
Now I have to put my nose in there.
Yeah.
Really. I love it. I'm going to put you at the beginning. Hi everybody! It's Jason and Paul.
Welcome back.
And we're back to discuss our perfect predictions. As we told you earlier, we were going to get them all right.
And by gum, we
sadly did not.
We got some. We got a few.
We got more right than wrong. We got more right than wrong.
Right, so I think I got an F, and I got an F plus, and you got a D minus.
Good, so we both barely passed.
Well, I don't know. I think you passed. I'm getting held back. I'm going to have to redo 2015 next year.
Well, next year we're going to do all the 24 categories because I did do better with the ones we didn't predict off screen.
Of course.
Foreign film I got, Son of Saul, and Amy for documentary, and Bear Story, which is a very cute film. And Stutterer, which is about a man that cannot find the words to express his love. And I predicted it would win because it touches the heart. Yes. So, unfortunately you didn't see that brilliance of me because it was off screen, damn it! You saw my craziness on screen.
Right.
Though.
But we can vouch. Jason did predict correctly.
Yes, and you can go to GoDerby.com and see those green check marks. And I almost got to watch the Oscars with Paul, but my hotel room was smaller than this room. And I think that it would have been better anyways because when you didn't come by, my girl did, and we got really drunk really fast. Oh. And when Leonardo DiCaprio won, we screamed so loud that our neighbor next door had to tell us to stop. And it was a really weird exchange because when he knocked on the door, I just opened it and said, "I'm sorry, your wife and kids are trying to sleep. Leo just won." And he said, "Got it." And that was it.
Got it.
That was the exchange. So, I usually ask for quiet rooms at hotels because I'm going to be the loudest,
You'd like to be able to hear yourself scream.
Yes, and I was screaming a lot at the Oscars, especially with poor Stallone, which we'll get to.
We were screaming over Facebook chat the whole time.
We were. Actually, I did talk to Paul. There's a lot of black blurs going on with that evening.
But we can now reflect and clarify what all those blurs really
We can. With original score, and I got it wrong. And I knew in a way that I was going off the bridge with that one.
In a blaze of glory.
The winner for original score was Ennio Morricone for The Hateful Eight, and Paul, you got it right.
Yes.
I picked Thomas Newman. Okay, you can brag enough.
Yes. We were just listening to this at work not 2 hours ago.
And I picked Bridge of Spies because I was having a moment and I thought that Thomas Newman would not be left stranded for the 13th time, but he was. So
it's an unlucky number.
An unlucky number. So poor Thomas Newman. But don't worry, Tom, you got to sit out with a bunch of people on the bleachers that thought they were going to get their gold too. That did not, including Best Song, which I got right. Which was a shock, actually.
Especially after that performance.
After the performance that Lady Gaga gave, I thought, how do you not give someone that Oscar? And the fact that they went with Sam Smith for Writings on the Wall, after that, and after me even thinking, good Lord, I just made an idiot, just proves, I think, my small point that they do like James Bond, and they do like traditional songs. Mm-hmm. As much as Lady Gaga did a great job at the Oscars and the music video, I don't think many voters saw the Hunting Ground documentary, and unfortunately when you're filling out your ballot, that is what's on the ballot, is the Hunting Ground and the song. And so they might have just thought, I'm still going to go with, James Bond's Spectra, especially again after Adele won. But Sam Smith did not do a good job at the Oscars, so it was kind of ironic. He was sort of, we talked about this off screen, but he does come off a little bit awkward, doesn't he?
Sam Smith?
Yeah. And some people have compared him to being like the male Adele, in a way, because she had the awkward Grammy performance, and they're both Tauruses, and, they get moody.
Okay, so visual effects. I had Star Wars.
And I had Star Wars.
And you had Star Wars. And they had Ex Machina.
Which was the biggest upset of the evening. Literally, I said 200 to 1 odds or something. I mean, it was, or 1 to 200 odds. It was just way, no one picked it. I mean, if you put money on this, you would have won the whole thing. No one saw it coming. And I think I realized maybe why it won, not necessarily because the film had the best visual effects, even though I think it's great. We did mention in our video that could be a possibility for a spoiler. But I think it's because some people had Star Wars, some people had Mad Max, some people were probably going for the Revenant bear scene, and some people might have even gone for The Martian. And so with such a close, tight 20%, 20, 20, 20, you probably had voters that just said, you know what, I'm going to pick my favorite, let's go with Ex Machina, and it somehow sneaked through. But no one saw that coming, but I think it's kind of nice that it went. They did really like that film. Editing.
I had Star Wars.
Star Wars, and I picked Mad Max and got it right.
Nice.
I did split my sound categories on purpose because I figured it was either going to be Revenant or Mad Max, but I think Paul was smart to also think Star Wars might have gotten in there because the effects in Star Wars are relevant.
Right, especially if we are assuming that sound editing means sound effects editing.
Yes, yes, I agree.
But anyways, the upsets continue, and to sound...
Yes, you had Mad Max, and I had Revenant. So Paul got that right, I got it wrong. And many people that have been in the game for a while also said if you ever have the same movie nominated for both sound and sound editing, usually they're going to win both. So it's not wise to split them unless for special circumstances. But I split them just to be safe because I didn't know which way they were going to go. They might have preferred the wilderness and bear sounds. They preferred the car chase. You know, so
right.
We didn't know where they were going to go. But I think they really did admire George Miller's masterpiece for that. It was nice to see it get so many honors. 6 Oscars.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Film editing also went to Mad Max. And I think I should have picked up on that because I realized that films like Gravity recently won film editing in both the sound categories, just in 2013. So Paul and I both went for Big Short. And I still stand by that choice. I still stand by The Big Short. If I was asked to rewind this evening, I would have stuck with The Big Short for editing. Because to me that was a very well edited movie. But I think they got a little lazy.
Yeah, Mad Max for... I think Mad Max was way more well received than people thought it was, or that they that it was so much more appreciated than people thought it was. You know, that some of the reviewers got that it was wonderful, and it wasn't they weren't just a small contingent of fanboys and girls, that they were that actually then the Academy went on to support that. Yeah, this is a totally world-class film that needs to be respected. So makeup, I picked Mad Max,
and I picked Mad Max,
and we were both right.
We were both correct. Whew. And that was a close one because I'm guaranteeing you, people go for the wilderness and the men with the big beards. It happens. Okay, trust me, this was close. Or even the 100-year-old man that climbed out of the window and disappeared. We don't know where he is. We may never find out where he is. Okay? Costumes. I want Paul to read this out so I can deal with my shame.
I picked Mad Max and was right, and Jason picked Carol.
Thank you, and I was dead wrong.
But when we saw Carol...
Yes, and now tell them about Carol.
My own sweetheart said that Rooney Mara was wearing a very nice sweater. And I thought, damn it, Jason, you were right. It was Carol. It must be Carol because
I know.
I didn't pick up on it before. But those sweaters were so good.
And Sandy Powell created that beautiful fur coat for Cate Blanchett, and I was just sitting there in the theater with everyone else that loved so much, saying, "Yep, it's going to win." And unfortunately, they went unconventional and went with Mad Max. And I think the Carol might have split votes with The Danish Girl, which was also more traditional, and I think it also could have split votes with Cinderella. So, production design, Mad Max. We both got it right. See, Paul and I do get things right. Production design was, of course, an easier category to call, but you never know. And we were some of the first that actually said Mad Max was going to win before the experts. Remember, Paul? We didn't tell you this, but we met before Mad Max was in theaters. And we knew it was going to win production design, didn't we, Paul?
I remember that happening.
I do too. We were in the desert in Nevada. And you said, wow, this would be a great place for a sequel for that Mad Max movie. And I said, well, yeah, well, what should it be about? And you said, nothing. Just a car chase.
Right.
And I said, well, won't that win production design? Because it's out in the middle of nowhere and they'll probably add all those fancy cars and wheels and smoke. And you said, yep. And then you had to go. Yep. Thank you.
Cinematography.
Yes.
I had The Revenant.
Yes, and I had The Revenant too.
Good.
And surprisingly, because when Revenant won cinematography, it had been losing everything to Mad Max. So a lot of people were getting nervous that they might have flipped it to Mad Max because, again, the shots by John Seale and Mad Max were really nice. But I think that nature scenes, and also this is Lubensky's third Academy Award in a row for cinematography. He won last year for Birdman, and he won in 2013 for Gravity. So it's his third consecutive win. So again, there were some people that didn't win anything after their 13th nomination, and then there were people that were like, this is easy as another one. In the bag. We should move on to the next category.
Professional responsibility. Respect to the field. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
Screenplay.
Okay, this was a difficult one, right? No one knew it was going to go to Spotlight.
I did.
I did. We both got it right. Thank you. We both got original screenplay correct. It's actually a very, very, very clean and polished script. So if you've not seen Spotlight, see it. It's very, very well executed. Adaptation also was correct for Paul and me. We both went with The Big Short. And again, for original and adapted screenplay, both Tom McCarthy and Anna McKay, who both directed their films, as I predicted, they would not win directing, but they would win in the writing category. So that way they would still get consolation prizes. Not that writing should be just known as a consolation prize, but in that respect, they did. All right, supporting actress, the winner was
Alicia Vikander, the Danish girl.
This is the first Oscar and nomination for Alicia Vikander.
Alicia Vikander won for Best Supporting Actress in one of my favorite performances of the year.
And my performances of the year.
Paul did not care for Alicia as much as I did.
Thank you so much, the Academy, for this incredible recognition. I share this with our fabulous crew and cast, and I want to thank Gail and Anne and Nina and Working Title and Focus and Tom. Where are you? My director, thank you so much for your support and belief in me. And Eddie, there you are. Thank you for being the best acting partner. I couldn't have done it without you. You raised my game.
I thought Eddie Redmayne was more weird in that. I just thought he kept, when she's like, I want to talk to my husband, please. And he's just like, oh. I'm like, what is wrong with him?
Yeah, I think he's having his identity shift conflict.
Right.
That's why he always did the look down, blink, and smile face whenever anyone tried to confront him. And if you've ever worked with or dealt with someone like that, it can be frustrating to be understanding. So all the more respect to Alicia for playing such a difficult role.
All right, Best Supporting Actor. You all were waiting for it. We all knew the legend, Sylvester Stallone, would take the stage.
And the Oscar goes to Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies.
Sadly, he had to stay in his seat. In probably one of the biggest upsets of the night. I did pick Stallone, and Paul picked Tom Hardy, but I've watched our video, And I think Paul was this close to picking Mark Rylance.
I did pick Mark Rylance before our video, and then during the magic, the camera adds 10 predictions. It was.
If you had kept Mark Rylance, we would have been pushed to the top of the list right now. Instead,
Regardless,
we went with Hardy and those beards. And
how can I say no?
But
Mark Rylance deserved it.
He did deserve it. And happy.
Struck a blow for subtlety that night.
Yeah.
Struck a blow for. Did you know that he was the first director of the Globe Theatre in London?
Really?
When it opened, Mark Rylance.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
That's nice.
He's done Shakespeare. He's a stage actor, right? So you can. I don't know. He just.
I was so happy.
He
and
deserved it.
I will tell you this, because I was one of the people that foolishly went with Stallone. And let me tell you what happened here, because some people might be wondering.
Yeah, I kind of want to know.
What happened? So the first thing that happened was that Sylvester Stallone was not nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award or a BAFTA, British Academy Award. Those are two of the most important precursors in the business. It is very, very, very rare to win an Oscar without getting nominated for a SAG. The SAG is voted by the actors, which make up the majority of the Academy. So that should have been the first sign that maybe this Golden Globe win was just because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association just wanted to give out awards to stars, because that's what the Golden Globes are. They're like 60 foreign journalists from around the world that like giving awards to stars. That's why Kate Winslet won the Golden Globe this year for Steve Jobs, because she's Kate Winslet. We don't know who Alicia Vikander is. She's not famous enough. So the same with Sylvester. Oh, Stallone, of course, Rocky. And the second reason is because if you're going to win a career award, especially as a man, you need to have a substantial film career. And unfortunately for Sylvester Stallone, having tons of Rocky movies and Rambo and, Judge Dredd is not going to cut it, okay? Yeah, he did Copland a while ago. But look at Bill Murray. When he was up for Lost for Translation, his first nomination, he still had all those comedies to get through. Now, I love Bill Murray. Groundhog Day, Stripes, What About Bob, Ghostbusters even. But, they don't look at that as serious. And then you have people like Mickey Rourke, who got up for The Wrestler and did not have anything else to back up. So that is why they will not just give you an Oscar as sentimental, unless you are someone that has a substantial back. And I also think it helped that Mark Rylance was in a Steven Spielberg movie. Never underestimate Spielberg. Ever. Because he knows a lot of people, and apparently Spielberg was showing a lot of people Mark Rylance's performance. Realize.
I didn't feel bad for him, but that's just me.
But see, what Paul's thinking is probably what a lot of voters that didn't want to vote for Stallone were thinking. I don't want to vote for you. You were Rocky Balboa. Big deal. You talk like this. You talk like you have Novocaine in your mouth. I'm voting for a real actor,
I've always just adored stories, hearing them, seeing them, being in them. So for me to have the chance to work with, I think, one of the greatest storytellers of our time, Steven Spielberg, has just been such an honor. I want to just say thank you to my fellow nominees. I don't know how they separate my acting from your glorious acting in these wonderful films that you're in, which everyone must see. I don't know how they separated the five of us from all the other supporting actors who are making films at the moment. It's a wonderful time to be an actor, and I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you.
And look at who presented that. I just want to say this, and I'm sorry if she's watching it. Patricia Arquette, who won for Boyhood last year and presented the awards, get some public speaking classes. You are horrible. She comes on like she's drunk and washed up, and when she opened the envelope, she's like, "An Oscar goes to, hold on, I can't read it, Mark Rylance." Like, no passion in this woman's voice at all.
That's why she's so good.
She's a mess.
She's in. Did you ever watch Medium? That's, I think, where maybe.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So, actress for Best Actress.
Best Actress. Who the winner was Brie Larson.
Yay!
So, I got that right, and Paul went with Saoirse Ronan, who I would have preferred in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I just wanted it to win something.
I think that Saoirse should have won, and she looked hot at the Oscars too. I loved her. She had her hair out naturally, and she had a very, very nice gown. She was smoking.
Right.
She was smoking. And she made a really good speech on the red carpet when they asked about why she thought the role was important. As much as the controversy was hitting our Oscars this year about Oscar So White, she said, you know what, my movie's about immigration, and I think all of us can relate to getting off the boat and coming to someplace new and starting over. And I thought, oh. Why
now you wish you voted for her.
And not Brie Larson. But you know, I like Brie Larson, but I think that Brie Larson was helped by the fact that her movie had a little more punch, and the circumstances in Brie Larson's movie required someone to, you know, get all that rage and terror out, you know. So it was. I would have put Charlotte Rampling, but yeah, it was Larson. Who was director, Paul? Read it out.
So, director, we had Alejandro Inarritu for The Revenant.
Yes.
I predicted George Miller.
Thank you.
And Jason predicted Alejandro.
Thank you very much. You don't have to keep clapping. I'm registered at all the florists. Thank you.
He is.
Alejandro, who, if you actually watched his expression when the costume design winner for Mad Max won, she wore like a leather jacket or something, like a biker chick, and she was walking, and Alejandro looked at her very snooty eyes. I lost a little respect for him. He's a little bit of a snood.
Really?
But on stage, you know, he knows how to play it very nicely. Yes, I thought that George Miller was actually going to win because 6 wins for Mad Max, a 7th win for director would have been very similar to how Gravity won. Gravity won 7 Oscars, including all the text, pretty much the same ones that Mad Max won, and then director. So I thought, man, George Miller is going to win. We've got Mark Rylance upsetting. We've got Ex Machina upsetting. There have been some shockers. And I actually, in my stomach, thought it was going to be George Miller. So I'm actually very surprised that they actually ended up going with Alejandro. I went with Alejandro mainly on the Director's Guild Award win because I usually don't want to bet against that industry award. But I think that was a tight... I think that George got more votes than we thought.
But isn't it impressive that you can win so many? You can win six things, 6 categories, and that somehow the person who put it all together is still not the best director.
Nope, we just don't think you directed it well, George.
Right.
No, you did get 6 awards.
Right. You did some things right, but you didn't do everything.
You didn't do the
right.
cinematography right, which is what Alejandro did.
And that's a director.
Yes.
Or a cinematographer.
It is. And you weren't. You were just a production designer, makeup artist, sound, film editing, and that other sound award.
It was all icing and no cake.
Nothing.
George.
I didn't care for it at all, George. Sit down. You're not winning this one. Oh, we forgot actor. Oh.
I thought you were making a strategic skip.
I wasn't. I didn't read my paper right. Who won Best Actor? Surprise me.
And the Oscar goes to Leonardo DiCaprio.
This is the first Oscar and 6th nomination for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you to the Academy. Thank you to all of you in this room. I have to congratulate the other incredible nominees this year for their unbelievable performances. The Revenant was a product of the tireless efforts of an unbelievable cast and crew I got to work alongside. First off, to my brother in this endeavor, Mr. Tom Hardy. Tom, your fierce talent on screen can only be surpassed by your friendship off screen. To Mr. Alejandro Inarritu. As the history of cinema unfolds, you have forged your way into history these past 2 years. What an unbelievable talent you are.
And the Scorpio stung everybody. It was Leonardo DiCaprio, who gave a very nice speech.
He did.
He did.
He did.
And he ran on that stage, didn't he?
I did agree with what some people were saying, that Leo didn't give us a piece of himself in his speech. He did give us a piece of something worth thinking about, which is climate change.
Lastly, I just want to say this. making The Revenant was about man's relationship to the natural world, a world that we collectively felt in 2015 as the hottest year in recorded history. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow. Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species.
Yes.
But he didn't go into his, into his jacket and pull out a little piece of his soul and say, you know what, guys, I have been waiting a really long time for this.
Yeah, like, come on.
And this is important to me. I mean, maybe he just doesn't actually, he's not swayed by awards. Maybe he's too mature for all that. I don't know. But it would have been fun. It would have been fun to get a little bit more of a heart-to-heart.
I would have liked that versus, let's use this for a political platform. But, I think he did run to that stage a little faster than normal. I think he was ready for that Oscar. Mm-hmm. And I
think he wore his wheelies.
I think he did too. And it's too bad a bear didn't attack him. When I say bear, I'm talking about George Miller. No. Sorry, we might have to cut that. Oh, okay. Let's get to the last one, which, man!
Best Picture.
Best Picture. Okay, so I went with The Big Short, and Paul went for Room. And we were both...
Along with literally there are tens, maybe even 20s of us out there who went with Room.
There were... I think you still were the only one, Paul, but... And the winner was...
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Spotlight. Now, I will say this too. I'm gonna stick up for Paul here. He was talking about Spotlight before we did the video. He was telling me neither one of us. First of all, neither one of us picked The Revenant. We should get props for that because 90% of the people were. But both Paul and I knew that
all of them were wrong.
All of them were wrong. So even though we picked wrong, we knew it wasn't going to be The Revenant. Okay?
We picked against The Revenant more than whatever it was that we picked.
And Paul was saying Spotlight. And I have to say, if you go to the beginning of the award season, it was all about Spotlight. And I compared this to a movie, and it's Gone with the Wind. If you remember Gone with the Wind, it's a long 4-hour film. It's my favorite. Scarlett keeps... Rhett just leaves her and says, I don't give a damn, and she has nothing, right? She's on the staircase, and she's like, what do I have left? And it's Tara, her land, right? And that keeps coming back to her, all through Scarlett's life, it was Tara, Tara. That's it, it's Tara, and that's exactly what Spotlight was. It literally was Spotlight. Every time all the predictions and experts and bloggers were like, what other movie could it be? It should have been Spotlight. Spotlight. That was what I saw. The Vivian Lee's face saying Spotlight. Because literally, that is exactly what happened. This is not neurotic. This is true. It was Spotlight because it makes sense. I did say earlier that Spotlight was too sustained and too subtle to win. But I'm going to say, now that I look at their winning pick, that it was the least offensive movie. It was the one that most people could agree on. It was the one that did not have as much divisive opinion.
I think it made perfect sense that Spotlight won. I feel like you were spot on to say that it would have been everybody's number 2.
Yes.
Preferential ballot. See, they don't actually reveal the results of how each film was ranked on the
I
ballots.
wish they would too. I would like to see. It's the first film to win just 2 Oscars since 1952's Greatest Show on Earth, which also won Best Picture and Original Motion Picture Story, which is like Screenplay. So that's a first. That's, I think, why we weren't picking Spotlight, because we thought, well, it's not going to win any acting awards. It's not going to win editing, which is usually the third one you do. Like Argo won Picture, Screenplay, and Editing. So we thought Big Short, or I thought Big Short. Paul was doing his own thing with Room, but that was great because it's good to think outside the box. And literally, he was thinking outside the room.
I was only thinking inside the room.
You were inside the room. So in the future, if you're choosing Best Picture, choose the one that people like the most. If someone tells you, I hate it, it's boring, it's not going to win. So why did Mark Rylance win then, Mama? Because they weren't going to give it to Rocky Marion.
And with that, thank you so much for tuning in and watching.
Thank you very much, and we will be back shortly with another video homage to filmmaking. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Bye!